It's okay to agree to disagree with somebody. There are times when, hey, smart people look at things differently. Now, our culture doesn't like that. Our culture says that disagreement is hate, and that's just wrong. Smart people can look at issues and agree to disagree. We should accept that, and it's perfectly fine. This is why Jesus tells us that the best solution to dealing with relationship challenges involves direct communication. And we read this in Matthew chapter 18. He says this, if your brother sins against you, go and show him his faults, just between the two of you. If he listens to you, you have won your brother over. In this case, it's describing tension between people of faith, a brother, a sister in the faith. But the principle can be more generally applied as well, applied more broadly to really all our relationships. This means that when we have problems with other people, that those problems don't become office gossip. They don't become office gossip. And I talked about that last week when I worked in the insurance industry for a couple of years. I walked into work and everybody's hanging out at cubicles talking about other people. I'm like, what's going on here? And it's like it becomes office gossip or it becomes church gossip. Like people are going through things. There's issues that are happening. And so people start talking at church in the lobby in little huddles about other people. And we get to this point where we even make our gossip into a kind of like prayer request. Let's make it into a prayer request. You wouldn't believe it, but Sally came over my house the other night and you wouldn't believe what she said to me. And everyone's like, and what did they say? What did she say? Tell us. We'll pray. We're 100% we're gonna pray. But first, tell me all the details. I wanna hear it all. We so easily spiritualize our gossip that we put a little religious veneer on it, but we're really not thinking about the other person. We just like to be entertained by somebody's plight or issue, weirdness, strangeness, or idiosyncrasy. And that's why as a church, we talk about this in our life groups. We have guidelines for healthy life groups. And one of the guidelines is that we're not here to confess other people's sins. Like when you meet in a life group, don't confess other people's sins. Yeah, like my husband, he just, never takes the garbage out. He's so lazy. And now the dog got in the garbage and ripped it up and ruined the whole house and all that. And it's like, I just don't understand why he doesn't listen and just do what he should do. And then you're sitting in life group and he's sitting there like, thanks a lot. Like, how does that work? No, don't confess other people's sins. Confess your own sins because you got them anyway and deal with them first. We have this sense even as a church following Matthew 18 that sometimes people will say, I got an issue like with a staff person or a leader at the church, so I'm just gonna go, around all that and I'm gonna go to Glenn. And I'm gonna talk to Glenn about a staff person, something happened, or a leader in the church. And that doesn't happen very much because here's what I do every time. I'll come back and say, did you talk to the person first? You see, I'm not a mailman. I'm not here to deliver mail. I'm here to connect people so we solve stuff. So did you talk directly with that person? Because if not, that's where you need to go. And they'll be glad to talk to you because we want to resolve stuff. And I'll coach you and I'll help you kind of work through that. But that's the process that we need to follow. And so if there's any tension between our boss and ourselves, or a husband or our wife, or a friend, a kid, a relative, the guy 3 cubicles down in the office, if there's any tension, the starting point for resolving that is talking directly to them. Now, let me just say here that this doesn't mean we confront everything, okay? Some people just like to confront everything. If anything upsets them or irritates them or they feel offended in any way, it's like, I'm going hardcore into confrontation mode. That's a bad idea. We need to pick and choose our battles. That sometimes, it's perfectly fine to be patient with the quirky person that we just don't understand. We don't understand them. It's okay to agree to disagree with somebody. There are times when, hey, smart people look at things differently. Now, our culture doesn't like that. Our culture says that disagreement is hate, and that's just wrong. Smart people can look at issues and agree to disagree. We should accept that, and it's perfectly fine. There's gonna be people that have personalities that just don't jive with our own. It's like, I just don't get so-and-so. So you don't go out to Starbucks with them. It's okay. You're not gonna spend a day at Hershey Park with them. It's perfectly fine. You can still accept them as human beings. They're never gonna be your best friend, but you can act in a certain way, in a healthy, positive way towards them. Now, sometimes when the stakes are high or when there's a recurring pattern, that situation needs to be addressed directly. But it's important to remember, in the midst of it, again, how do we go and show someone else's their faults? Jesus said it. Go show another person their faults. And you're like, I love the Bible. I love Jesus so much. Go and show them their faults. Well, I'm all in on that. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to put somebody in their place. This is not saying that you go and show them their faults without first doing the rest of Matthew 7, which says you're not here to breathe fire on people. You're not here to put people in their place. You're not here to kind of pull out this bazooka that you carry around in a case for anybody who really annoys you, and you pull that baby out and you go flat, boom. That's not showing another person their faults. That's a very different approach altogether. And so we're not here to put people on blast. How we do it matters. And so once we get this sense of clarity as to what's happening, once we get control of ourselves, then that's when we have these conversations. And so then we talk directly with the person, and then we stay focused on the issue. The next step is super hard. This is difficult stuff. It's practical stuff. It's all out of scripture. Stay focused on the issue. All good problem solving stops at the issue, at the problem you're having with somebody. If it moves away from the issue, it becomes dysfunctional and ineffective. And what happens is people move from the issue and they start attacking the person. They'll attack the person, and if that doesn't get any movement, they'll attack the relationship. So they'll go, hey, you, all the time, attack the person, and then they'll move to the relationship and say, if there aren't any changes here, we're not gonna last. And so now your entire relationship is on the rocks. Why? You should have just focused on the issue. You could have maybe made progress. And so that's why we need to stay on topic. Has there ever been a time in your life where you actually had a fight with somebody, husband, wife, friend, neighbor, and about 45 minutes later, after you started fighting, you looked at each other and said, what were we fighting about? What were we fighting about? We don't even remember because all these peripheral things got folded into it, and it's like the issue just escaped us. It's easy to happen. It can happen very quickly. We can wander from the issue. Henry Cloud and John Townsend give us a typical crazy-making script. Our conversations can be crazy, and they can be crazy-making, and we can be crazy makers and not even realize it. It's between Bob and Sharon. They're having issues. So I'm gonna read the script. Bob says, Sharon, I'd like to talk about a problem in our relationship. Sharon, well, what about all the things you do? Like what? Well, you never call when you're going to be late. You work too much on the weekends. You don't spend enough time with the kids, and you don't help around the house. Well, okay. Now, there's several things going on here. First, there's grievances that had not ever been addressed. They've been buried, and there were grievances going on. We also see here that there's a big time defensiveness going on that undermines problem solving. I'm going to defend myself, and I'm going to kind of deflect the issue. But the biggest thing I want us to see is the inability this couple had to focus on the issue. There was an issue here, but it's getting buried by a whole bunch of other things that are keeping it from being productive and constructive. But Bob tries again. And this time he gets it right. He stays focused. Sharon, I'd like to talk about a problem in our relationship. Well, what about all the things you do? I know I do things that irritate you, but I want to focus on my concern right now. Sure, it's always about you. I'm glad to talk later about what you want to talk about, but for now, I'd like to talk about how we can stay within budget. The issue is our budget, like our money, like it's going away, like too many Amazon deliveries, like there's stuff going on. Where's our money going? We agree to spend our money, but it's disappearing. The issue is not all the peripheral things, it's the budget. And when we can focus in on that one issue and address the one issue, we can move to other things. We can get to other things, but we'll get to nothing if we don't stay focused in our conversations. We have to stay on track. Another step we can take, and we're talking about what's going on inside of us, is that we need to use I statements and not you statements. Again, you statements are accusatory. Like you did this, you. It's the pointer finger. You. Most of you are like, I'm not coming back to church because you pointed at me. No one likes it. No one likes it. We don't like when people point at us. You is an accusatory thing. So what do? We say, oh no, you, 100%, you. Next thing you know, we got attack, a counterattack, deflection, defensiveness, attack, new strategy, counterattack. That's what we got going on. It's just like the whole thing goes sideways because we've used the wrong terms, we've expressed ourselves in the wrong way. I statements are a way of expressing our feelings. You have a right to your feelings. You have a right to feel the way you do, but here's the thing. You should also be open to the possibility that you have based your feelings on some bad information, that you've based your feelings on things that are possibly you could change based on new information. And so again, we have this sense of, yes, we have a right to our feelings. We should be open to changing our feelings as we have our conversations. And so we could be wrong about what we're thinking, which leads to feelings that aren't aligned with reality. And this means when we're talking about expressing ourselves with our I statements, it's not about like projectile vomiting our feelings on people. Sorry for the gross metaphor. It's not about, being a volcano and like just exploding on people, spewing stuff all over people. That's not what we're talking about here. It's basically expressing what's going on inside of us. And so we get control of the language that we use. For example, instead of saying, you're a jerk, you're cold, you're unloving, you never talk to me anymore, say it differently. I feel like we're not as close when we don't talk. I feel out of the loop. I want to know what's going on with you, but I'm in the dark. So rather than just accusing, kind of share your feelings and say, it's legit, I want to be close to you, but I feel like I'm in the dark. Another example, I feel like I can't complete my thoughts. I lose my train of thought sometimes because you interrupt me a lot. I want to hear what you're saying, but could you let me finish speaking first so I can focus on what you say? That's fair. That's fair to ask that. I feel frustrated and unimportant when you're constantly looking at your phone when we're out on date night. We're out to dinner. So I'm sitting there across the table and you're like, oh, my phone is dinging. Oh, okay. It's like, I feel unimportant when you're not focused on me, you're focused on your phone. That's fair. We need to express how we feel. I feel like our teamwork suffers when you don't get back to me quickly. It would be great if you could return my emails right away so we can keep the project going. I'm concerned about your drinking. I feel like we're starting to lose you. It's becoming a problem. We miss the way you used to be. I miss the old you. When you drink, you're different. The kids and I lose you. We don't want to lose you. Expressing our feelings, it's not about lecturing. It's not about attacking. It's about just being honest with a struggle we're having, helping them identify and know how we feel. We need to speak up because that's the key. They may not even know that there's a problem. How can somebody address a speck in their eye if no one ever tells them? How can people address an issue in their life if no one tells them that there's an issue there? It's affecting them, it's inhibiting them. Maybe other people notice, but they don't see it. And so for us, it's really important to be able to express what's happening.